Russia continues to pour its forces into the Ocheretyne breach, but is Ukraine trying a unique strategy to thwart the Russian advance? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's talk about it. So overall, the battlefield situation is notably different in that in Ocheretyne, this is, of course, where this notable breakthrough has happened. Russian forces are advancing, but in an unusual direction, right? It looks like they've almost been diverted to the northwest. And so while they are advancing, it looks like Ukrainians are trying to channel them into this area here, probably in an effort to buy time for these forces along the Semenivka, Umansky, Berdichi line to reposition themselves near Yehanivka, Volgograd, Komashivka, along this line here. This is likely where they're going to try to reposition their forces. And so while it seems like there might be too much Russian forces, munitions at work here to necessarily stop the advance. Instead, I think they're trying to canalize it, move it into a direction that's more favorable to the Ukrainian forces. And in this case, it's driving them across these open fields here, where, as we know, the lack of cover can allow Ukrainians to inflict a lot more casualties. And the Russians, in turn, appear to be trying to simply expand out their breach like the roots of a tree, right? Searching for any direction where they can achieve battlefield success. And this is pretty common in military tactics, where you achieve a breach and then you do this exploitation where you fan out and try to roll the enemy in multiple different directions. Now, the actual tactics the Russians are using are actually pretty considerable. And we're going to take a look at those here in a second. I did just want to point out, you can see here 112 combat engagements with a really heavy concentration in and around this Ocheretyne region. And you can see here the live UA map depicting the front as somewhat different. This shows Russians in control of Solovyovo, and Ukrainian forces withdrawing back again towards this front line here. So this is actually making this breach look less bad, as strange as that sounds, in its way, even though it's more territory. But there's still a lot. This is still just a fast-developing, fast-breaking situation. Now, if you guys need to stabilize your own life situations, listen, a gum's not going to do it for you, but it's not going to hurt either. You may need some Strike gum, right? This is the equivalent of 5 energy drinks in this one pack of gum, but 0 sugar, right? So if you need that energy, throw it in your gym bag, throw it in your glove box, and you too can get a surge of energy just like that, right? No need to stop at a gas station and drop $4 on a Red Bull. Of course, you can go to strikegum.com to pick some up if you want the veteran discount or the first-time customer discount. But you can also go to amazon.com and search for Strike Gum. And thanks to the dozens of people who have left us 5-star reviews on Amazon, that makes a huge difference when you're an Amazon seller. So thanks to all you guys. Now, here's what I thought was really interesting, is that this is from the Center for Defense Strategies, and this is providing a sort of subjective summary of some of the events in and around the Avdiivka direction. Now, over the past 2 days, of course, Russia pushing hard in Ocheretyne. They've identified the 15th and 30th separate motor rifle brigades as leading this effort. And while some of them are consolidating their positions in the town, Russia, as we talked about, is continuing their exploitation, going west and south. But as you can see, in the last 24 hours, this southern advance has actually been diverted and is now going somewhat to the northwest. But what's more significant is that Russia is using its very limited remaining air assets to really try to exploit this situation. that the main push into Ocheretyne is backed by airstrikes. The Russians are trying to widen this breach and move northwest and south, but they're also rolling out their MLRS strikes to support the 90th Tank Division and the 41st Army at Solovyovo. They're also using precision airstrikes, precision guided strikes, so CAS, to support the 228th Motor Rifle Regiment and again the 90th Tank Division. So you can see that Russia isn't just throwing its troops into this battlefield, it's also throwing a large portion of its air assets. And as we know, Ukraine has been very public with the fact that they need air defense systems, Patriot missile batteries, and Patriot missiles. And we know that this aid package that's rushing to Ukraine does contain those things. So I suspect that we are likely days away from them getting a resupply of their Patriot batteries, and that's going to help mitigate the damaging effects of these airstrikes. So as you know, that really is all I had for today, guys. Again, we're going to update you as this situation changes, but I appreciate you guys so much. You guys know, if you're on combatvetnews.com, we've been looking at the footage from this Battle of Ocheretyne, and it has been really interesting to see the Russian tactics, the Russian use of all kinds of weird golf carts and stuff to move their troops quickly over these open areas. So if you're interested, combatvetnews.com. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.